Welcome back to the 5% podcast. My name is Amir. I'm the founder and host. We are back. Yep, we're back. So, on today's episode, we're going to talk about South Asian weddings, and our guest is going to break down all the details you need to know about these things. To jump into a little story, this is something I kind of faced growing up. Like I would go to these, South Asian weddings and events, and I wouldn't really like understand the culture, so to say. So I would just go to these things and not even like really understand what was going on or, um, the context or the meanings or anything like that. But it wasn't until college that, you start to, your mind starts to open to things, and people started asking me questions about how the traditions, how the cultures, all that stuff works, and I didn't know the answer. So I was at at that point, I was kind of like, okay, I need to know this stuff. So after doing a little learning myself, um, you know, I started to understand more, but to better understand all this information more, we have our guest for today. We got Madeeha. Madeeha, take it away. Tell us a little about yourself.
Hey guys, my name's Madeeha. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm half Pakistani, half Sri Lankan, so I've had the opportunity to see both types of cultures, and I have participated in a lot of weddings. And so today I'm just gonna talk with you guys about it. One of the main things about South Asian weddings is definitely the clothing that is worn. For example, some women do like to wear different types. So like some are, for example, a lenga, which is a type of like short cropped shirt and a long skirt, a sharara, which is like another long skirt but a regular shirt, and a garara, which is kind of like a shirt with bell bottom like pants. So we like outfits that are really loud, really bright in colors from almost all of the events. For most guys, they tend to wear kurtas, which is a long type of shirt and pants, or they have the option of wearing an American suit. Some of the best desserts that we eat at these South Asian weddings, they can range from kulfi, which is like a type of ice cream, to gulab jamun, which is kind of like a sweet ball that's made out of like dough, and ras malai, which is kind of like rice pudding. Some of the best wedding songs we dance to, we do a lot of dancing in our mehndi, which is technically is essentially it is a night where the groom and bride come together and all of their family and friends celebrate by dancing from both sides. Friends participate, family participates, and we have like a full audience of maybe like 200 to 300 people, sometimes even more. So during these mendis, we wear really colorful like colors like green, orange, hot pink, and the bride usually wears maybe orange or green. Um, some of the best wedding songs to dance to would be like Dole Baje, which is a type of song that involves using sticks and drums. Some other songs would be Dolare, Chaka Chaka, and all of these songs have a lot of different meanings, but there's a lot of traditional sayings in those songs, so that's why we dance to them. Some important events for you to know about what happens in South Asians weddings, specifically in Islamic weddings. We usually have about maybe 5 to 6 events. Normally we have the Bat Baki, which is kind of like an event where both sides, the groom side and the bride side's parents, have agreed to this engagement. Then we have the Mayo, which is also integrated in Indian culture as well, where the bride will apply like mustard oil and types of herbs to beautify herself, as well as the groom will participate just to start getting ready for all of the events coming up, and it's a time for them to relax and have fun. The dolki, which is a relaxed event for the bride and groom's close friends, where they play traditional songs on the dole, which is a type of drum. And then we have obviously the Mendi, which I discussed is the dancing event. That's like one of the highlights of the entire wedding. And then you have the Shadi, which is where the bride wears traditional red. And normally they wear red because it signifies love and passion and excitement for a new marriage. You will also have the Nikah, which is the religious ceremony in Islamic tradition, where both sides will read a specific scripture from their religion, and they will both agree to the marriage and sign a contract with each other. And then you will have the ruxati, where the bride has been sent off to go with the groom. They have like I guess a getaway is what you want to call it, where they have like a really nice car and they're both in the car and they say goodbye to everyone and they go on to start their new lives. Some other things to know that I think are important would be how serious South Asians take their clothing when it comes to designers. So some really popular designers that I have worn and I've seen a lot of other people, men and women, wear would be Anaya by Kiran Chaudhary, Mushk, Maria B, Fatima Khan, Sarah Wazran, and Sana Safina. And these brands are really well known all throughout Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and other countries. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Sweet. Well, that was a lot of information.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. It's South Asian weddings are so different from American weddings just due to the amount of events that we have, the traditions that we follow, and I've had the opportunity to like see that because of my culture and because of how integrated my family and my friends have become with our traditional culture, which is really amazing. And so it's always good to see college students who are interested in learning about our culture and understanding why we do what we do at these weddings and the importance of it. So,
Sweet, sweet. So one of the questions I have for you is like, if you don't really know much about this, like where do like what are some ways you can learn about this stuff more?
so one thing I had noticed during my college career was there was sometimes depending on whether or not you are in college, there will be sometimes a Pakistan Student Association or a South Asian Student Association, and they will host events that are very similar to somewhat what you would see normally in traditional culture. So like, for example, PSA at the University of Oklahoma had just thrown one of their first mock Mendis. Mock Mendis are a very big thing in the state of Texas, California, and Florida. Essentially, we pick out a fake bride and groom, and we essentially host a big Mendi, which is like a bunch of dances. And we get to have the opportunity to show people who, may not know our culture and may not really understand what we're doing. And it gives them an opportunity to learn and see something that they haven't seen, obviously. So that is definitely one way you can probably find out about that culture if you're not very familiar with it, to look for events or groups that are based on wanting to have people learn about their culture and understand what they do.
Cool. Cool. That's great to know. So you mentioned something about, a ceremony where they like put yellow mustard on people. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and like what the meaning of that is?
Yeah, so the mayo is actually it actually dates back to like thousands of years ago. So it's actually a Gujarati or Indian tradition. Originally it was essentially made for the bride and groom to, number one, just get comfortable with each other and get used to having all of the family members all around the bride and groom constantly. And essentially, it just gets them ready to get married. So it tries to better their physical image. So, like, for example, the reason why the girls put mustard oil on their hands and in their hair is to lighten their skin and to like purify and beautify them. For men, it's essentially you're just creating a tie with each other and you're both getting ready. It's kind of like, how would I describe this? Like kind of like a spa experience, but like a little bit more traditional in that sense because we're using herbs and like natural elements instead of obviously, what we would regularly use. So the Mayo event also usually the girl wears yellow as a sign of like joy, happiness, and like new beginnings. So, and the groom usually will match her in some form. And they will have like different types of decorations ranging from like orange, yellow, hot pink, and sometimes gold. So it's an opportunity to kind of just have the close friends of the groom and bride and very, very close family, a time to just relax and de-stress before all the wedding stuff starts up, and everything happens so quick. So that's a really nice time for the bride and groom to just enjoy themselves and take it easy.
Sweet. So how many days in total is it?
So technically speaking, if we go down the list, we have the bath pucky, which is essentially 1 day. Then we have the nikah and the mayo, and then we have the mandi, the shadi, and I completely forgot to mention the valima. The valima essentially is an event where it is hosted from the groom's side. They announce themselves as Mr. and Mrs. And so usually the groom's parents will host that event, and as well as the ruksati, which will happen on the same night. So it's about maybe 4 to 5 days of events, give or take.
Dang, 4 or 5 day wedding. That's a lot.
Yeah. And it's not just in Pakistani culture, it's Indian culture as well, Bengali culture, just South Asian culture. Our weddings do last a lot longer than, traditional American weddings.
Yeah,
So,
that's really cool. That's really cool. So now, can weddings go longer than 4 or 5 days, or is that the max?
um, if we're just talking about like, if we're not like, some brides do like to include like an engagement party, which is another day added, where they have like the bride will wear like a really expensive designer dress, and the guy will get just a regular suit, and they'll essentially just have a party for engagement, that they're happy to be engaged and everything. But normally speaking, uh it's normally max 5 days. I don't think it would go any more than that, unless you obviously include like American traditions, like having a bachelorette party, or um having like going on a trip or something like that. So sometimes we do incorporate American traditions, but talking about traditional stuff, it's normally about 3 to 5 days.
Sweet, sweet. So now, how many people can you expect to be at these weddings?
So it really does range. I mean, I haven't been to a wedding that has had less than 200 people. I have been to a
Oh man,
500 people wedding, and I have been to a 230 people wedding. Um Tradition, like South Asian weddings love to include every single person. It doesn't matter whether you know the bride super well, or maybe you like met her through work, or maybe you met her through school, or maybe you know her through her parents or through the groom's side. We just love having big weddings to be inclusive, and like for everyone to have an opportunity to get dressed, have fun, and enjoy themselves. So normally they can range pretty high, so maybe like 500 people I've seen at least once. So
dang, it's a lot. So now
what?
you mentioned about the music earlier. So you have one song to pick to kind of get the party going. What song are you picking?
So
Keep in mind, this is your opening song.
so I will say the opening songs for most Mandis, Punjabi music is a very popular type of music where it is very hype and very like gets you in the mood of dancing and singing and everything. So if I had to pick one, um it would be Sadi Gully, which is like you
Okay.
will always see that song somehow at a Mandy. Like it doesn't matter where or what time it is at, that song is always played no matter what. And I've been to like maybe like 35 weddings. So it is that song is always in there somehow. And it's definitely gets the party started and gets everyone in a mood to start singing and dancing. So
Good choice. Good choice. Wasn't that a TikTok trend?
yes, it was. It was a whole trend that went on TikTok, and people started dancing to it. And I think it's funny to see like even Americans like get really hyped to Desi songs because obviously, it's a different type of vibe and, they don't understand what they're saying, but it's a hype song because the beat is really good and it encourages people to dance and everything. And Punjabi music really encourages you to do different types of traditional dances. Like we'll do dandiya, which is a type of stick dance where we'll take like sticks and basically beat them together. And that is something really cool for people to see because normally they don't see that type of traditional dances. So yeah.
Cool. So like when do you do that?
You can, so depending on when you want to do dandiya, it depends at usually at the Mehndi. Sometimes they will do it at the Dolki. It's kind of a get the party started introduction to like do a traditional dance and then go into just doing normal different types of dances to different songs. We'll choreograph different dances based on like different moves and stuff like that. But normally it's at the start of the Mehndi and it kind of sets the tone of how the event is going to unfold.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So now you mentioned briefly desserts too. Like, what's your number one dessert that you're going for at a wedding?
Um, Probably jalebi, just because I have
I know
always
that.
loved jalebi.
How did I know you're gonna pick that?
It's a classic dessert. Normally it's almost at every single wedding, and it's normally always pretty good. It's also like not too heavy, so you can still, have your food and enjoy and dance and stuff. But jalebi is definitely one of my favorites. And there's actually a song called Jalebi Baby, which is like a really another fun song that girls and guys dance to. But yeah, definitely jalebi is probably my favorite actually. So
Okay, sweet. Well, thank you so much, Madeeha, for doing this. We really appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode of the 5% podcast.